and the master has no way of knowing what happens within. On the second floor, Han places the advancement stone on the magical circle, which emits a bright light that the protagonist can't see through, and places his hand on his eyes. After reacting with the stone, the magical circle becomes bigger and emits more light, prompting Han to close his eyes because of its brightness. After a while, as he opened his eyes, he saw something strange. He noticed a lady sitting on a rocking chair, holding her child in her arms. He swiftly grasps his sword, asking the lady who she is. However, he soon realizes that he can't even approach her because of an invisible magical wall. Standing aside, he sees the child and contemplates that he didn't have anyone to call family, so that baby isn't his past. He soon realizes that the baby boy is Han Islat, the child who originally needed to come here instead of him. While walking aside, Han gazes back at that lady, acknowledging that he doesn't know the situation, so there is no point in him wasting time here. As he steps outside, he sees an empty space, wondering about the waiting room. Seeing that there is not a single facility built, Han realizes that it doesn't look like Master Enetting's waiting room. Shortly after, a dungeon opens and a small fairy appears, prompting him to wonder if she is Isel. However, he realizes that she is smaller than Isel, but still, they look alike. The fairy urges Han to enter the space-time rift. As he enters, an advent dungeon entrance with extreme difficulty materializes before him, and as it opens, it catches the protagonist off guard. Suddenly, he receives a 3-part warning notification, which further bewilders him, and he becomes frightened, causing all his stats to decrease by 30%. He senses an unusual pressure, so he anxiously unsheathes his sword and bites his lips in terror. Han then swiftly enters his berserk state, which helps him escape his fear and gather his guard back. As he lands inside the dungeon, he is taken aback to find the level 999 bug there, standing alone, and remarks at Han's arrival that they finally met. Han swiftly brandishes his sword at the bug, wondering how the hell is that bastard here. Han concurs, remarking that they finally met, and he is certain that this guy was the one who brought him to this realm. The protagonist wants to kill him immediately but halts himself, acknowledging that there is no chance. Han knows that this is the guy who eliminated the max level 5 and 6-star Diora party in fewer than 10 seconds. Meanwhile, with a malicious grin, the bug sarcastically wonders why Han is not charging at him and mocks Han, saying that he must be feeling very resentful. Han grits his teeth in frustration and urges that bug to send him back if he is going to spout nonsense conversation. The level 999 bug claps to mock him and maliciously remarks that Han would have died much earlier if he had not self-control like that. The protagonist suddenly feels a severe headache. He places one hand on his head while, with the other hand, he continues pointing his sword at the bug and asks whether all hero advancements are like this. The bug steps towards him, saying that it's not the case, and tells Han that he is a special existence. The bug further emphasizes that this place is a gift for Han and claims that this stage is prepared for the glorious rancor of pick-me-up like him. Suddenly, the menacing mana surrounding the bug slightly fades away, and it turns out to be a girl, which startles Han. Han anxiously wonders who she is, but seeing her face, he somehow thinks that she looks like Isel, while the girl remarks that she doesn't know how to introduce herself. Han assumes that Isel would look like that if she were older and sternly urges the girl that he is sure that she knows who she is and refers to her as a bitch. In response, the long-haired girl brushes his remarks off with a giggle and considers that it's a bit harsh. The girl discerns that Han thinks she looks like Isel and clarifies that it's not that she takes after Isel, but that the fairy is the one that takes after her. With a smile, she reveals that Isel is merely a copy of her that might be the 100,479th one. She then asks Han whether it's similar to how many people have downloaded Pick Me Up. The girl then hurls her business card at Han, who swiftly catches it. After noticing an infinity sign on her card instead of her name, Han anxiously wonders if she is kidding him. The girl reveals that she has more than a couple of names, so she chooses which one to use depending on the situation. The protagonist remains unimpressed and throws the card to the ground. He disdainfully places his foot on it, prompting her to remark that his action is a bit rude. However, with a menacing aura, he asks the girl if she has brought him here. Nevertheless, the girl remains unfazed and urges him not to hate her too much. She reasons that she didn't expect him to be summoned either, asserting that it wasn't on purpose, and states that Han could say that all this happened accidentally. Han sternly remarks that he doesn't care and urges her to take him back if she doesn't want to die. At that moment, with a suspicious expression, the girl wonders if he will kill her and reminds him that he is just a 1-star. Despite her malicious expressions, Han remains undeterred and emphasizes that in time, it will be a different story. She guesses that the solution would be to kill him right now and swiftly shoots a projectile at the protagonist that hits his heart. However, Han doesn't let his guard down and, despite the chaos, remains vigilant. He doesn't even attempt to block that projectile and continues to stare at her ferociously. Despite the spear touching his heart, he didn't blink an eye, which impressed that girl, and she commended that he had guts. The protagonist then sheaths his sword, asks what she wants, and wonders about her motives. He contemplates that she had countless opportunities to kill him, but she has summoned him here instead, which means she has some other goals. She then steps towards him, stating that it's not a big deal, and reveals that she wants to talk to him. As Han was 5th in the world ranking, she referred to him as the indomitable and unbeatable Master Loki and revealed that she was his biggest fan. She expresses her amazement at his playing countless times while monitoring and explains that the headquarters prioritize monitoring Niflheimer first, wondering how she could ignore him. With suspicious expressions, she emphasizes that she is here to tell him the truth about this world. She asks Han's perspective about stories of mobile games, but the protagonist keeps staring at her. The long-haired girl sadly asserts that users don't care about the story when it comes to gacha games, they only care more about the content. It was the same for her, and she claims that the pick-me-up story is too stereotypical as there is not much world building either, and most masters in the upper levels are ones that Han hasn't even heard of. With a snap of her fingers, she displays a picture, asking the protagonist if he can tell where this is. When Han remarks that he doesn't want to know, the girl finds it a shame and reveals that this is Taunia's continent, a city called Nelsa on the Heimer Peninsula. She emphasizes that it's the city where they met on the 10th floor, which was turned into ruins. The girl then displays different states, including Silkia, Kaya, Edola, Pheonia, Madian, Icardia, Lilja, Halcia, Arantia, Cisnia, and Viardia, stating that these are the current states of all the regions in Taunia. She then wonders if the protagonist thinks that Niflheimer would be any different, and then reveals that all the continents of Mobius are like this. According to her, more than 100 million worlds ended up in the same time period. She informs him that there is a book here that foretells the ending of this world and emphasizes that it's a bad ending as everything ends, so the book characters wish to change the ending. She asserts that the answer and what they should do is simple. They should bring the characters from outside the book, which is why they have brought Han. She asserts that Han needs to make them change the story, even if the settings and plausibility are messed up, and even if space and time are mixed up and destroyed. Furthermore, she elaborates that a higher dimensional being can change the story by observing, which is why Pick Me Up was made. Han grins sarcastically at her revelation, saying that he was expecting some amazing story and wonders why she tells him all of that. Han's blunt remark startled her and little Isel for a while, and then she extended her hands towards her, stating that she wanted to work with him, proposing they save the world together. However, before she can complete her sentence, Han intentionally hurls a dagger toward her, which pierces her head and catches Isel off guard, and he refers to her as crap. Despite being injured, the girl wears a smile, urging Han to think about whether he will concur or deny it. Nevertheless, the protagonist remains resolved to his rejection and harshly urges her to get away from him. Han asserts that she summoned him to this place to go through all kinds of suffering and then asks him to cooperate, wondering what kind of trash it is. He sternly declares that he will never work together with someone like her, even if it causes dire circumstances. Furthermore, he urges her to kill him if she wants, but he will make sure to get his fair share of attacks in before she does. The girl then takes the dagger off her head, claiming that Han is being harsh. The protagonist acknowledges that he may have said all that, but he can't kill her right now as he is only a 1-star and level 10. He believes that he will have to become a lot stronger to kill her and emphasizes that he doesn't want to talk to her, so she must send him back. On the other hand, the girl finds it upsetting and reveals that she used up a lot of power to call him to this place. She then reflects that she thinks highly of Loki, more than any master that exists in Pick Me Up, and commends that the rankers above Han are nothing compared to him because he has performed better than anyone as a master. Suddenly, a message appears before them, the system asking the master to trust the bond with the heroes, and she is sure that Han knows where this sentence comes from. Noting that advice on the notification, Han remarks that it comes up after they clear the tutorial. In response, she emphasizes that he is the only person to truly take this advice to heart, and he is only one out of the 100 million masters. Suddenly, the surroundings around them change into an erupting lava-like scene, and the girl informs Han that this is Niflheimer's 80th floor stage, where Han was the master around 6 months ago. According to her, out of the 100 million users, only Han and 4 other masters were able to clear this stage. That's why everyone from the 6th rank and below were all on the 79th floor or below. Han reflects that the 80th floor had brought him the most despair, and he wonders why she shows him this. She sits on her magical chair, stating that it's simple, and asks him to watch what happens with her. She proposes that he sit on that magic chair and claims that it will be a bumpy ride, so he needs to get comfortable for this. The protagonist then has a seat, and the girl ponders how he feels seeing a floor not through a screen but through his eyes and considers it majestic. The stage of the 80th floor, which is the first conquest-type floor, and the objective wasn't even disclosed to the player. Pick Me Up had random stages, and the difficulty could change depending on the random number generator. However, after arriving at the 80th floor, every single ranker who attempted it failed miserably. Among them was the 80th floor, also dubbed the Wailing Wall, and they both consider that they have experienced the same. Han wonders about the reason for showing him the video of his clearing the 80th floor, as he already knows how to clear it. At that moment, Isel chimed in and handed him a glass of juice for refreshment, while the girl remarked that there was something he would know if he waited and watched. Han reflects that after having reached the 79th floor, he confidently attempted the 80th, but except for the main party, he suffered a humiliating defeat in which most of his remaining forces were annihilated. He contemplates that hell was the only word he could use to describe it, as an extreme environment in which life could never thrive was the type of stage the 80th floor was. The screen then displays the fragments of chaos, despair, and grudge of 100+ levels, and Han remarks that these creatures made the floors above the 80th as difficult as hell. The girl commends his knowledge about levels, and with a grin ponders if he knows that Pick Me Up's difficulty is altered depending on the account. Furthermore, the differences in summon rates are like night and day, and her revelation startles the protagonist. She refers to Han as Loki, stating that he has never pulled a hero above 5 stars in his life, and asks if he thinks that was only by chance. She then reveals that it's not that he couldn't pull a high-ranking hero because he was unlucky, but it was simply that Niflheim no longer had any heroes left within it. According to her, the same goes for the difficulty, as the Niflheim was one of the few accounts that received an S rank from the company's internal evaluation, which was the worst on all fronts. She then curiously remarks that it's still a mystery how Han climbed to the 88th floor while the protagonist casually drinks his juice. Suddenly, a flash appears which startles Han, and he anxiously stands up. He is taken aback as his disciple heroes, who are considered the strongest in Niflheim from rank 5 to rank 1, were all gathered on that floor. The screen displays that Han's disciples were surrounded by thousands of fragment creatures, and Han employed the tactics screen, which allows him to decide the hero tactics guide by touching and dragging. The system displays how Han skillfully dragged his heroes to safe locations to evade the assaults of the monsters. At that moment, the girl remarks that these are the new tactics and strategies he invented for the 80th floor, and she finds them exciting. She commends his plan of taking many different sub-objectives one by one and attacking the enemy, and considers it to be a complicated yet simple plan. The girl urges him to watch closely how his disciple acts and what kind of existence Han is to them, which is the reason that Loki is unique. On the other hand, before the quest begins, Han's disciples, including the King's Bow, Mikaku Geistfeld, the King's Spear, Mutin Nidalk, the King's Sword, Ridigen, the King's Eye, Unit Seed, and the first disciple of Loki, the King's Flame, Cirrus Agentheim, resolves to show their might and conquer the quest. Shortly after, as the quest commences, they determinedly lunge to confront the menacing monsters. While watching all that on screen, the CEO of Mobius finds their determination impressive and remarks that they truly pledged their loyalty to Han. She emphasizes that the 6 stars are considered to be the strongest in the entire server, except for the 7 stars, as none can match his disciples. At that moment, she guarantees that he has raised the fierce heroes here, prompting Han to wonder the reason behind it. In response, she remarks that their ability isn't the important part, but their respect for Han is important. As the heroes ascend the tower and make continuous progress, they gradually uncover the harsh reality and begin to feel despair. She asserts that when heroes realize they are being treated as mere playthings or reduced to the status of pets, they would never pledge their loyalty to that master. However, she emphasizes that Han is different from other masters, as he truly ruled the waiting room alone. She refers to Han as Niflheim's king, claiming that even now, the heroes of Niflheim are frantically searching for him, and they even know Han has fallen into this place. She believes that his pattern of play was very unique and quite exquisite. However, she wonders who would have known that a master would appear and who would not use synthesis. Han contemplates that normal masters used synthesis to control the heroes when the heroes don't listen to their commands or are useless. Such masters get rid of them without hesitation, and with that, they run the waiting room using fear. Even with low-ranking heroes that showed potential, masters would give them to higher-ranking heroes as food. However, Han has never pulled a 5-star, and he has only ever pulled one 4-star, prompting the people to call it the doomed account. Nevertheless, even after they held him to close it, he held onto the account because he had already been used to irrationality, especially when he saw the other children with their parents. Han then clarifies that it's not that he didn't use synthesis, but he only used it when he had to. In response, she remarks that other masters would have synthesized multiple times a day, but he wasn't like that, which is practically the same as not doing it. Furthermore, she elaborates that Han's way of operating the game was also unique. She then reveals that before he became famous, most masters used the heroes like toys, and they used them until they got bored and then discarded them as trash. Han further elaborates on his gameplay approach, emphasizing that even if a hero's rank was low, he didn't discard them if they showed potential. He believes that if he ruled the waiting room only through fear, it would definitely have collapsed. He reveals his perfect mastery rule that rewards the heroes when they prove their worth and punishment when they do not. With a suspicious expression, the girl ponders if he knows that the heroes here are humans. She admits that she doesn't know how Han knew, but it would be impossible to play like this if he didn't, and menacingly claims that it's her conclusion about him. Han contemplates that the heroes were so realistic that it was hard for him to believe a program just created them. Each of their reactions was different for each command, and the ways they acted were all different. However, it was hard to believe for Han as he never thought the heroes were people and considered it the most effective strategy. The protagonist then wonders if she is trying to say that she likes his playing style. In response, the CEO of Mobius concurs and reveals that she wanted to talk to him at least once, considering it a shame that she couldn't do that when he was on Earth. With a sarcastic grin, Han remarks that it is also a shame for him because he would have put her 6 feet under if he had met her on Earth. He asserts that she has garnered his resentment, and if nothing else, he will never forget this because she has pissed him off. Meanwhile, the girl remains unfazed and giggles at his revelation. At that moment, Han sternly approaches her, declaring that he has nothing to do with Taunir and Niflheim. He ferociously urges that he is an Earthling, so she must not force any situation onto him. As he turns around, the girl slyly remarks that his statement might devastate the Niflheim heroes if they heard it, while Han remains undeterred and urges if they want to, they can feel devastated. He contemplates that if she wanted him to climb the tower, there would be no need to call him here. Han acknowledges that Niflheim's group had been diligently proceeding with their attacks and contemplates that they had practically no casualties up until the 88th floor. He considers that the 90th floor was nearly in their grasp, but while they were doing that, he was dragged here. After contemplating the situation for a while, he declares that he will not cooperate with her. With a menacing aura, he urges her to get lost from his sight before his patience runs out and emphasizes that she could become the warrior who saves Mobius, but it doesn't matter to him. In response, the girl clarifies that her sole motive is for him to safely make it to where she is and claims that for this, she can forgive insults of this degree. The protagonist then wonders if she made the Dark Priest appear on the 10th floor, and she proactively counters what if it was. She advises him not to be angry and assures him that she will not interfere from the 15th floor onwards. She prophesizes that the Taunir group that Han is in will greet him with a shock, even if she doesn't because it's an S-rank difficulty like Niflheim. Furthermore, she emphasizes that no matter how well he performs, the chance that the master quits will remain at about 90%. However, she claims that the situation might alter if she lends him a hand. With an unwavering conviction, she vows in her name that if Han climbs to the top of the tower, she will ensure his safe return to where he came from. Additionally, she promises to transfer half the shares of Mobius Corporation she has to him, claiming that it will make him a major shareholder of a mega corporation that can shake the world economy. When the girl wonders whether Han will accept this agreement, the protagonist firmly declines her offer and urges her not to appear in front of him ever again. He contemplates the luring agreement of sending him back and thrilling rewards, but he remains resolute that he can't trust her. She then asks the reason for his hate and resentment for her, but without responding, Han assaults her again with his dagger. This sudden turn of events makes her bleed profusely, while Han sarcastically remarks that this move is his answer. He firmly believes that as he climbs the tower, truths that he doesn't know of will reveal themselves to him. Contemplating the situation, he considers that even without relying on trash like her, he will return to Earth by his own strength. In response, the girl takes the dagger out of his head and acknowledges his determination that he would not climb the tower if he didn't have this much spirit. Despite the assault and Han's rude behavior, she will forgive his disrespect. She reveals that before his departure, she will show him the true prologue of Pick Me Up, which is specially prepared for him. As the prologue begins, an intense purple light erupts and displays a land where humans and semi-humans live together called Taunir. On this continent, where peace and prosperity flow, an unknown enemy starts its invasion. This sudden invasion led the continent to drown in the power of darkness and end up torn into pieces. Meanwhile, the CEO of Mobius reveals that the difficulty of Pick Me Up is high because Han must reverse the fight that ended in failure, so she requests him to turn back its fate. However, she asserts that one hope remains because of him and emphasizes that if Han wishes to save the world, he must climb the tower. She elaborates that many heroes like Eren, Jenna, and many others will join him on his journey. He must trust the bond with his heroes as the future of this world is in his hands. She again emphasizes that the future of this realm is held within Han and his master's hand, so she wonders if he can climb to the top of this tower, which has never been submitted before. She reveals that many enemies will block his path as the mysterious lands hide powerful enemies, but despite her claims and declarations, the protagonist remains unimpressed in any of her talks. Nevertheless, the CEO encourages him to climb the tower and assures him that they will be waiting for him, but Han sternly rebukes her. Afterward, the system congratulates the master as the hero's forgotten memory has awakened. Han's advancement has been completed, and he is a 2-star now. With that, Han returns to the second floor of the advancement chamber, where he placed his low-grade advancement stone, and now he wonders if that's the end. Meanwhile, the system mentions that the advancement has enhanced his level and skills. Shortly after he steps out of the chamber, he finds Eren waiting for him. Upon his arrival, Eren wonders what he did there all by himself, to which Han remarks that he has made his advancement and informs his comrade that he will also have one soon. Noting his expressions, Han wonders if something has happened, but Eren assures him that it's normal as usual. Han then reflects on the prologue and realizes the reason that Eren needed to return for his younger sister, Nina. However, Han's goal hasn't changed, either in climbing the tower or returning to Earth, but one thing has changed. He feels more disgusted than before. He then resolves that no matter who has brought him here and what his name is, he will repay this debt. On the second day, the system announced a server error apology to all the masters for the unplanned downtime a few days ago. The masters on the lower levels all suffered a loss of connection, and an apology article detailing an unexpected server shorting was released. Han discerns that it was released to the one that appeared on the 10th floor right before they cleared it. As compensation for the error, the system provides all masters with 500 gems, 50,000 gram gold, and 1 gift ticket, which increases the master's favorability with the hero, and a day restriction in which all daily dungeons will remain open for 3 days. Later, Isel enthusiastically congratulates Loki on advancing, but she notices that Han doesn't look happy, so she wonders if something has happened. In response, with a suspicious expression, Han reveals that he met Isel's main body, prompting her to wonder what he means. The protagonist then ponders if she is the co-CEO of Mobius Corporation. This question bewilders her, and she anxiously wonders how much he has heard. With a grin, Han remarks that he doesn't care too much and assures that nothing changes with her. While sitting on a bench, Han informs the fairy that he will climb the tower and urges her to help him do that, and Isel concurs. The fairy then excitedly hands Han a golden ticket, which increases the master's favorability with the hero, and she reveals that with the ticket, Han can get anything he wants. Unimpressed, Han inquires if she is giving it to him, to which she elaborates that it's from the master and emphasizes that even that idiot master can tell how incredible Loki is. A gift is something the master can give to a hero when they do something the master likes or reaches an achievement. Gold will need to be spent depending on the worth of the gift, and higher level gifts may require gems and higher level ingredients. It's usually done using premium currency, but if one uses a gift ticket, which is given through events, he can do it for free. Han gazes at the golden ticket, a gift worth under 10,000 G, and considers that it's how highly the master thinks of him. He returned the ticket to Isel, asserting that he didn't need it and suggesting giving it to someone else. He contemplates that the master would be pretty surprised as he hadn't done anything special, but the heroes diligently climbed the tower for him. The system notifies the master that Han has rejected the gift, while Isel is startled by his actions and anxiously emphasizes that Han can get anything with this, like delicious food, fancy clothes, etc. However, Han remains uninterested and sarcastically remarks that he can't get everything as any decent item in the shop will take more than 10,000 G. He then steps aside and ponders why she is following him as he is going to sleep, but Isel urges him to wait. The master proceeds to use the gift ticket to purchase a warhorse statue, which Isel presents to Han as a gift from the master. However, Han hurls that gift aside in disdain, urging the master to give one to every hero if he will buy a gift. He emphasizes that if the master gives it to one hero, the others will grow discontent, as handing out gifts for sufficient achievements is a hallmark of a good master. He believes that depending on a hero and their personality, the gifts they want will be different, so just giving them whatever is not enough. Later, while resting, he confidently reflects that he had memorized the personality and hobbies of the top 100 heroes in Niflheim. He wonders what the master Eniton is thinking about him and if he panics over everything that has happened. The following day, as the space-time rift opens, Han contemplates that right now, his low level or rank isn't the problem. Their problem is the enemy on the inside. Before heading inside the space-time rift, Han commands his comrades to clear the quest and return quickly. Han believes that their master is the problem and acknowledges that although he is just a beginner, he needs to wake up. When Ivolka nervously asks about their quest and where they are going this time, Han realizes that her stress is at max because of the repeated training and her experience on the 10th floor. In response, Han speculates that it's impossible to climb to the 11th floor under these circumstances, so they probably head to the 8th or 9th floor. He believes that a proper master would have taken care of his heroes first and considers that Master Eniton hasn't realized the true nature of pick-me-up. As the system opens the main dungeon of the highest floor 11, it startles Han, and he wonders if the master is suffering from I'm so good-itis. A notification catches his attention that Team 1 will challenge the 11th floor, and the door will open in 10 seconds. After confirmation, Han wearily commands his comrades to get ready for the 11th floor, which startles Jenna, and she expresses her concerns for their conditions, anxiously wondering if they are ready for the next floor. I'm so good-itis is a word created among the users, which means the master shunts off all the strategies to the heroes and then mistakenly thinks their own skills made them clear the floor. Han contemplates that normally the master should recognize the heroes on the lower floors before attempting the 11th floor, and he realizes that by sending them to that floor, the master completely misunderstands that he is not a good player. As they are teleported to the next floor, Han wonders if he will be able to climb to the 100th floor with an idiot master Eniton. When the team looks around, they find themselves in a desolate graveyard with numerous menacing level 14 skeletons waiting for them. Han urgently directs his comrades to get into triangular formation to deal with those skeletons. Shortly after, while confronting the adversaries, Han contemplates one of the reasons that Pick Me Up was called a crap RNG fest of a game was because the difficulties of the earlier stages were all decided by luck. If the master pulled a good hero, then he would have an easy and comfortable experience, but if he pulled a bad hero, he would suffer all sorts of hardships. In the meantime, Ivolka skillfully unleashes her combust magic to burn the adversaries and halt their progress. Meanwhile, Han wonders about the case of their master Enning, as his first 4-star hero was synthesized into him. and even the 5 connected characters all died except one. However, he believes that doesn't mean the master's luck is subpar. He was very diligent in the early stages of the game as he continuously developed the facilities, trained heroes, and created items. Han contemplates that the master was progressing along the strategy he had used. The master cleared a mission that should have failed, and Han thankfully acknowledges his own strength. But he considers that the master's way of thinking started to deviate little by little. Without having the right conditions, Anything used 5 premium summonses in a row, and without even developing the final members properly, he cucked Team 1 onto the 10th floor. The protagonist believes that there are many more mistakes than these, and the master is mistaking the hero's skills for his own. According to Han, the masters, who only depended on the heroes and ran the game, were called "I'm so good at its disease patience." Later, after a fierce battle, Floor 11 is cleared with the collective efforts of Team 1, and Han is selected as the most valuable player. As they teleported back, Han reflected that it's been a while since his last level up and viewed his attribute window. Later that day, Han calls out Isel, who swiftly appears, and Han commends her swiftness, acknowledging that she always answers when he calls for her. In response, she giggles and ponders the reason for his call. Han retorts that he wants to know something, but Isel asserts that she can only reveal limited things, and the protagonist acknowledges, saying that he has already heard from that girl. When the protagonist wonders if she can tell him peripheral details, Isel becomes bewildered because she normally can't share them, but she reluctantly concurs, saying that she will make an exception to answer him. Han then inquires about the name of Isel's main body, to which she remarks that the director has many names, numbering over 100 million, because it changes depending on which world she is in. She emphasizes that if Han wants a specific name, she is called Tile in Taunir. Han contemplates about Isel's revelation that the director has a different name in each world and speculates that her name in Niflheim would also be different. After the completion of the 10th floor, the name given to the waiting room is different depending on the master. Although this one was Taunir, Han's accounts were Niflheim. For rank 4 was Raglansid, and rank 3 was Ezekiel. Han reflects that if what Tale said was true, it means each master held the fate of one distinct world in their hands. There are currently over 100 million worlds, and the number is continually increasing. He then inquires about Mobius, prompting Isel to wonder if he is talking about their company. When Han emphasizes that he isn't wondering about the company, Isel reveals that Mobius is a spiral universe connected in parallel to many other worlds. Han contemplates whether this is the reason that each account has different missions and wonders if there were no repeat heroes among users. He realizes that each master is assigned to a different world and speculates that he has started to understand that girl Tale's identity a little. The protagonist then ponders if Master Anything is a regular human, to which she abruptly concurs, asserting that only humans from Earth can become masters. At that moment, Han denies her assertion and clarifies that he is asking if Tale has messed with Anything or not. His inquiry startles Isel, and she takes a brief moment to confirm the authenticity. As she leaves briefly, Han decides to delay deciphering the purpose of Mobius for another time, as he doesn't need to think about it for now. Soon, Isel appears out of nowhere, assuring him that there is no need to worry as Master Anything is just a regular user. When the protagonist wonders if he can trust her, she concurs and reveals that she got confirmation from another director. With that revelation, Han figured out that Anything was just a normal master who hadn't been interfered with. He speculates that what the master was doing right now was just a normal gameplay progression by Anything, and considers this couldn't be a misdiagnosis. He contemplates that Anything has "I'm so good-itis," so if the symptoms continue to worsen, he will get into big trouble sometime in the future. The next day, Han performs a sparring match with Edith's team at the training grounds. Ursher rushes to assault, but the protagonist skillfully deflects it. Suddenly, Roderick launches a surprise attack, but to his surprise, Han evades all his attempts. While Han is confronting 2 of them, Edith appears out of nowhere and leaps to overpower him. As Edith's dagger slits Han's face slightly, he considers that 3 versus 1 is too much to handle. He contemplates that Anything is still in the first stages of "I'm so good-itis," so he considers that with good enough measures against it, they could still turn him around. The best way to cure the "I'm so good at its disease" was to get rid of the heroes that the master relied on the most. Amid the spar, Jenna and Aaron swiftly chime in to provide a helping hand to their boss Han and get the upper hand on Team 2. Later that day, the system welcomes the master to pick me up, and on the master's command, Isel calls out the members of Team 1, including Han, Evolka, Jenna, and Eren. As they heed the command, Jenna wonders if they are going to the 12th floor and asserts that they are speeding through at this point. Meanwhile, Eren finds their pacing a little strange as it's too early for them to climb another floor. On the other hand, Han reflects that they climbed to the 11th floor yesterday, and not even a full day has passed on Earth yet. As the ferry opens the space-time rift, the protagonist speculates that if they are being sent to the 12th floor, then the master is trying to speedrun 2 floors in one day. As the team steps towards the dungeon, Jenna turns around, asking Han if he isn't coming. Han inquires Isel about what floor the master has designated for them, to which she informs him that it's the 12th. Considering that the heroes could demand and insist against the master, and could sometimes reject their orders, Han refuses to participate. Han's unexpected decision surprises Isel and his comrades, while Jenna curiously wonders if Han can decide against the master, or if they will head to floor 12 without him. Han informs them that they can also refuse, although they have to bear the consequences. Jenna is startled by this revelation, as this is the first time she has heard this, and she is reminded that the other people get dragged into the dungeon even though they shout that they don't want to fight. Han remarks that they didn't know the right way to do it. Isel desperately urges Han to reconsider his decision and warns that this could be dangerous, while Han sarcastically ponders whether relentlessly chucking them into the dungeon is not dangerous. However, despite Han's refusal, Isel anxiously insists, but Han asserts that he knows what she is trying to say. Han contemplates that although the heroes can refuse to participate, they cannot refuse to synthesize. He acknowledges that if the master gets mad and doesn't hold back, he will become food for synthesis because of his blunt refusal to participate in the dungeon quest. However, despite the odds, Han sternly declares that he will not be participating, prompting Evolka to curiously wonder what about them and yell if he is telling them to fight without him. Han remarks that they can decide it themselves, asserting that he would not stop them. After contemplating the situation for a while, Eren refuses to participate, reasoning that if the boss isn't going, he will not go either. Jenna asserts that he should have told them earlier that they could do this, but she refuses to participate, which bewilders Evolka. Noting the situation, Evolka admits that she could do nothing without her comrades, so she also refuses to enter the dungeon, and the system notifies their decision to the master. It further mentions that Party 1 is out of control and that heroes can sometimes go on strike, but the master can solve this by listening to their demands or punishing the leader of the movement. Han sarcastically grins at the tip of punishing the leader, to which Isel anxiously informs him that she didn't write this tip. Jenna then asks Han about their further course of action, to which he giggles, suggesting they must wait and see what the master will do now. Han assumes that Anakin seems stunned, as he never thought that a hero would refuse to obey his commands. Han considers that although the master would have known that this was a possibility if he had read the online tutorials, he hadn't, so he couldn't have known that heroes could occasionally disobey him. Later, on master's command, Isel instructs Party 2, including Edith, Roderick, Ursher, and Dika, to head inside the dungeon. Walking towards the dungeon, Edith asserts that she thought Party 1 was going and curiously wonders why they are being summoned now. In response, Han reveals that they have refused to go, which startles her, and she anxiously wonders how it is possible. She then warns Han about its dire outcome if he can't prove his worth to the master, but he remains unfazed and acknowledges that he might die. Edith then wonders if he thinks the master would like to have his orders disobeyed. In response, Han counter-questions whether she will kill herself if the master tells her to and asserts that he thought she was fighting to live. Han believes that there is no way a hero would possess loyalty and realizes that they are all just fighting because they don't want to die. Edith then discusses the matter with her team and asserts that they will participate in the quest because they need to become stronger. Additionally, she emphasizes that she doesn't want to be synthesized by disobeying the master. Soon, they determinedly head inside the dungeon of floor 12. Meanwhile, Jenna approaches Han, wondering what will happen to them. In response, Han wearily remarks that he doesn't know as the decision solely depends on the master. He advises Jenna that if he dies by synthesis, they must give up immediately and never disobey the master's commands again because that way they will not die. However, his loyal comrades ensure him that he will not die and commend his determination, prompting Han to smirk, contemplating that they have grown a lot. While sitting on the bench, Han continuously receives notifications that Dika and Usher of Party 2 have been inflicted with bleeding, prompting their stats to be reduced. He speculates that it seems like the 12th floor is more difficult than the 11th. After a fierce battle, Edith and her comrades return to the waiting area, and they seem severely injured and exhausted. When the protagonist inquires Edith about the battle, she menacingly ponders how she can disobey the orders. With a grin, Han assures her that it's easy, and soon, the system mentions that Edith has refused to participate, so Party 2 cannot be operated. The sudden turn of events bewilders Isel as things are getting worse than she had anticipated. Han concurs, sarcastically stating that as the Master's two main parties are inoperable, Eniton can no longer participate in the main dungeons, weekday dungeons, and exploration dungeons, and the lobby is in a state of paralysis. Later, Han urges his comrades that they may be disobeying their master, but they will act normally, and they must not stop training. He informs his comrades that all the dungeons are open for 3 days as compensation for the error. He stresses that they should take advantage of this opportunity as they need to replenish their potions, and Jenna and Eren need to level up. As they can enter the weekday dungeons of their own free will, he plans to go there to fulfill their needs. However, Isel, who had been eavesdropping on their conversation, expresses her concerns about their plan, wondering if Han is sure it will be okay or what their strategy will be if the Master quits. Nevertheless, Han remarks that the Master can do whatever he wants and emphasizes that if he can't even deal with this, then they would not be able to climb the tower anyway. She anxiously asks what would happen if the Master tried to synthesize Loki, but Han brushes off her concerns. With a smile, he confidently claims that he would prefer to die painlessly than die, while working hard, and asserts that it's not hard to resolve this kind of issue. He reminds Isel that, as mentioned in the tip, the Master can synthesize the hero that instigated this. However, he notes that with this action, the hero's stress levels will hit the roof, while their morale will drop to the ground, but they won't be disobedient. He believes that the Master can buy them presents or level up the facility to raise morale, but he emphasizes that the Master isn't that smart. The next day, they went to a weekday dungeon to collect elemental stones for promotion. They partnered up Han with Evolka and Eren with Jenna for 2 different dungeons, and they were able to obtain a basic fire elemental stone. After that, they continued training. Han's sword shield technique reached level 6, and he got to a level where he needed extraordinary training to reach higher levels. To progress, he either needs to find similarity-leveled opponents to fight or add in penalties while training. He gave Evolka a mission to train telekinesis magic until she earned a telekinesis skill since she specializes in only one area. When she frustratedly expresses reluctance, claiming that she can only use flame magic, Han sarcastically warns her, asking if she wants to spend the rest of her days eating only potatoes. However, that day, Master Enning didn't log in, and neither did he the next day. After some days, Isel wearily expresses her concerns to Han, informing him that the Master hasn't logged in for the day and speculating whether he quit. In response, while sipping the tea, Han nonchalantly remarks that he has no idea about it. Suddenly, to Isel's surprise, the Master logged in, and she enthusiastically welcomed him to pick me up. Meanwhile, Edith speculates that the Master might have changed his mind, but Han denies her assertion and contemplates that if the "I'm so good at its disease" was that easy to cure, it wouldn't be so infamous. According to him, it's obvious that the Master will probably use the gems he has with the reward gems to change the raiding party. His prophecy proves accurate as he receives a notification that the Master has initiated the advanced summoning of 3 heroes at a total of 1,500 gems. With rare summoning, the Master obtained 3-star heroes, including Stein, Maisel, and Tassir. At that moment, Edith informs Han that she thinks there will be some new heroes joining them, and Han gets up from his chair to check them out. As he turns around to leave, Edith suggests that if the new heroes are like Roderick and Evolka, then they will draft like before. However, Han disagrees, asserting that there is no need to draft because the newcomers would not join their parties 1 and 2 either. On the other hand, as the newcomers step out of the chamber, 2 of them start quarreling while Stein, the 3rd guy, attempts to resolve their issue. The man among them, named Tassir, urges the Lady Maisella to walk alongside him, but she denies it and refers to him as an older man. Her rude behavior enrages Tassir, and he ferociously brandishes his weapon, and the system notifies the Master about this recent event. However, Maisella remains unfazed and gets ready to confront that man, referring to him as trash. Meanwhile, as the protagonist arrives there, he notices their heated argument, contemplating that they barely just got here and they are already fighting. The blonde-haired guy swiftly approaches Han, wondering if he is here before them. When the protagonist concurs, he introduces himself as Stein Rastov, a knight in training, and requests Han to stop their quarrel as they won't listen to him. Suddenly, Tassir turns his attention to Stein, urging why he would listen to a noob trainee like Stein. As Stein anxiously turns around, Maizella agrees with Tassir and sarcastically rebukes him, asking who would listen to some young master who was lucky to have well-off parents. Her insulting remark ignites the fury in Stein, and with bloodlust in his eyes, he yells that he can forgive insults against him, but cannot forgive insults about his parents. Soon, Edith arrives there and wonders about the reason for their brawl, to which Han remarks that he guesses they don't like each other. Chemistry between heroes is important as there are hero combinations that receive bonus stats when together at a party, but there are also hero combinations that decrease each other's stats instead. However, Han finds it rare that they began fighting with their weapons as soon as they were summoned. Shortly after, as Stein prepares to assault that man, Tassir swiftly retaliates by hurling his whip spear. However, before it can hit Stein, Isel appears out of the blue and deflects that assault with her magic. She then sternly yells if they are insane or whether they want to die. Upon Tassir's inquiry about her identity, Isel reveals that she is a proxy for the Master and warns them not to be stupid as she is much stronger than all of them. Meanwhile, Stein wonders what she is talking about and who the Master is. Isel sternly advises them not to fight in the lobby again and claims that she will only let it go this time. Amid this, Maisel chimes in, suggesting Isel should get rid of them as she can't get along with them. Maizella points her sword at Han, stating that if she has to form a party, she would prefer this guy. In response, Isel reveals that they cannot choose a party by themselves because only the Master has that authority. The Master then creates Party 3 with those 3 star heroes, including Stein, Maizella, and Tassir. Soon, the space-time rift portal opens and Party 3 heads inside the dungeon. Without showing any interest in them, Han turns around to leave, prompting Edith to wonder where he is going. When Han informs her that he is going to sleep, Edith wonders about the fate of the newcomers, to which he confidently remarks that they will not return. Later, after arriving at his room as he attempts to sleep, consecutive notification about the situation in the Battle of Party 3 starts appearing. The system diligently notifies that Tassir and Maisel have fallen into the stage of frenzy and mentions whatever happens in the battle. When the system notifies that Stein has killed an adversary, Han slightly opens his eyes, contemplating that he is trying to sleep, but these notification sounds are so loud. Shortly after, he receives notifications that all the members of Party 3 have returned to the goddess's embrace, and with that, Han's other assumption proves true. After witnessing the Party 3 annihilation, the Master abruptly logs out of the game. In a moment of despair, Isel approaches Han, with her eyes brimming with tears, and anxiously wonders what they will do if the Master quits. However, Han doesn't pay much attention and remarks that the Master might do so. In response, overwhelmed with worry, Isel expresses her concerns, wondering about their fate. She anxiously highlights that the account will be deleted if the Master doesn't log in for 6 months, so she emphasizes that he can't quit. Han nonchalantly remarks that in the lobby time, that would be a year and 6 months. With tears streaming down her face, she emphasizes that the lobby can't be maintained without a Master, and there won't be any interaction force. She then wearily screams that she will disappear, urging that she hasn't lived long enough. However, Han advises her not to be so dramatic as they are not sure that the Master is going to quit. He assures her not to worry, adding that if the Master were that weak-willed, he would have quit a long time ago. Surprised by Han's revelation, she wipes off her tears, expressing her belief in Han. At that moment, the protagonist wonders why she is so desperate, asking whether she will die if she doesn't climb the tower. When the fairy concurs, the protagonist becomes startled and gets up, asking her for details. Isel then sadly reveals that she will disappear, which further bewilders Han. Considering the time period of 6 months, Han reflects on Niflheimr and believes that he doesn't have much time. The following day, the system encourages the Master to purchase something immediately if he wants it, and it assures that Mobius will cheer for his choices. The Master purchases the Gold Triple Package, which includes 5,000 gems and 3 gift cards for 90,000 won. With that package, the master commences the advanced summoning, and 3 3-star heroes, including Nakin, Winard, and Jelen, emerge out of the chamber. With a sarcastic grin, Jelen ponders about the leader of this place, claiming that he would like to be guided to the place they will be staying. On the other hand, noting the arrival of those 3-star noobs, Han tells Eren that they need to be trained, wondering if he will give it a go, but Eren refuses to do. Meanwhile, the weird-haired guy, Nakin, approaches Han, rudely asking about his identity. Nevertheless, Han remarks that he talks too much and assures him of hearing him out at the training ground. As the protagonist walks around, he commands Edith to help too, while Jenna ensures her that he is much better than the crowd that came with her. Suddenly, Nakin strides forward to attack the protagonist with his sword. However, Han remains vigilant and skillfully deflects the assault. The protagonist then fiercely smacks that guy's face, prompting blood to gush out of his mouth. On the other hand, Edith teaches a lesson to the other arrogant guy, Jelen, by assaulting him. Amid this chaos, Han contemplates the 3 consecutive pulls of 3-star heroes by the master and assumes that he knows his stuff. He wonders if the master is planning on picking 1 star to fill in the party. According to Han, some people combine high-ranking and low-ranking heroes, but one should tailor their ambitions to their capabilities and consider it's better to do 5 gachas in a row. After beating them severely, Han apologizes to them to begin training as soon as they arrive, but he sarcastically acknowledges that the beating is necessary for them. The master then creates Party 3 with those 3-star novices and 2 1-star heroes, including Nakin, Winard, Jelen, Robil, and Jayan, and they are sent to the main dungeon. The new 3 people weren't the worst together. However, one got severely injured, but they managed to complete the test, and they seemed to understand their roles well. For the good work from Party 3, the master rewarded the team leader, Nakin, with a golden ticket. A few days later, on the training ground, Jenna notices the 3-star newbies treating their 1-star party members like trash. She expresses her concerns to Han, speculating that those people might get their positions stolen. Meanwhile, when Nakin finds Han in the training ground, he anxiously turns around and pretends not to see him. However, Han brushes off Jenna's concerns, advising her to leave those guys be. More time passed, but there was no mage. However, the overall balance wasn't bad. Party 3 grew consistently without anyone failing out, and the master's plan seemed to be going smoothly. Later that day, Nakin asks his comrades about whether they know why Party 1 and 2 don't go on a mission. However, the other remains oblivious, so with a malicious grin, he reveals that it's because they were abandoned by their master. He informs them that they can overtake other parties if they grow a bit more, except for that mage woman and desire to get her in their party. When Jelen asserts that their party is already maxed out, the man among them named Winard proposes to discard those 2 useless 1-star members of their party. Suddenly, out of the blue, Han arrives there and mockingly commends their planning, which catches Nakin off guard and bewilders him. Nakin then nervously inquires about the reason for his arrival, to which Han reasons that he is here to drink water and sarcastically urges them to continue their chit-chat. Han considers that those guys don't have any concept of teamwork, and they don't even treat their fellow 1-star party members as humans, but still, he believes that Master Anything might be content. There were a few problems, but Party 3 broke through the 14th floor. It seems like the 13th and 14th floors were easy, but the 12th was probably difficult, or they were just lucky. While training, Han contemplates that no one in Party 3 has passed level 10, but the master will send them to the further floors anyway. He speculates that as soon as Party 3 breaks through the 15th floor, his Party 1 will be synthesized. Meanwhile, Ivolka, jogging along with him, wonders about their next course of action, emphasizing that Party 3 will catch up to them soon. Han remarks that he is doing what he should be and assures her that she will not stop her if she wants to transfer over to their party. However, when she refuses, stating that she doesn't like them, Han suggests she must wait then until their opportunity arrives. He then inquires if she has mastered telekinesis, to which she agrees and showcases her capabilities with a slight demo. Noting that she is casting her spell without any verbal order, he guesses she is at the basic level, and with a grin, he praises her improvement. On the other hand, Han contemplates that the master hasn't improved at all and highlights that the lobby has nice facilities, but is oversaturated with heroes. New spaces were opened up with the clearing of the 10th floor, but there haven't been any facilities built. The protagonist believes that the master needs to create level 3 facilities, but he speculates that Enning doesn't seem to have any intentions of doing so because his attention is completely focused on Party 3. The preparations for the 15th floor raid are going smoothly, and Party 3 members have realized that the master liked them, so they began showing their true colors. As of now, it's just little things like yelling at Chloe to bring more meat dishes and stealing the sofa seats in the lobby. But if they successfully raid the 15th floor, it will most likely get worse. The next day, the master summons Party 3 to the town square, and as per command, they get ready to head to the dungeon. Out of the 5 members of Party 3, Nakin, Winard, and Jellin seem confident, and they even equip basic HP potion for safety measures. On the other hand, while noticing Party 3, Jenna frustratedly remarks that her party has worked hard for this and considers the master's actions somewhat mean. However, Han assures her that they can always find them again. Meanwhile, the crack of space and time opens slowly, and Part 3 members head inside, while before entering, Nakin turns around. He arrogantly refers to Han as a bastard and declares that once he returns from the dungeon, he will tell the master to give him a good scolding and mocks Han to wait for his return. Nevertheless, Han doesn't give that crap a damn, while Eren expresses concerns, wondering what will happen if those people succeed. Han remarks that if they beat the 15th floor, his party will need to start obeying their master, otherwise they might die. He speculates that Party 3 may beat the 15th floor because there are instances when parties the master sends out fully expecting them to die, end up clearing the floor. Han contemplates that if they succeed, Master Enning will be more certain of himself, and he won't need Party 1 anymore. After contemplating the situation, the protagonist advises his comrades that if those guys return, then they must obey their master from then on, and they must not resist. Han then considers that at that point, he will probably already have been synthesized. Whether Part 3 will clear the stage or fail